going to add some lights to the topper of my pickup here, not only for loading and unloading or even finding stuff in the winter when it's dark most of the time, but also for my occasional campouts. I want it to work well for that. So there's really one requirement, and that is a three-way switch so that I have two places to turn the lights on and off. I'd like to be able to come up to the truck, reach up here somewhere, and just by feel flip a switch that would turn on lights and would light up the inside of my topper. But I also want to be able to turn the lights on and off from here while I'm laying in bed getting ready to go to sleep. So I wouldn't be able to reach something that's 2 feet below my feet to turn off the lights. So what I need is a three-way switch, one of them mounted up here by the lift gate and another one somewhere up here so that I can just reach it before I go to bed. I'll be able to flip the switch and the lights will turn off. And then in the middle of the night, if for some reason I need to get a light, I can just reach up and turn the lights on again. Am I asking too much? I don't think so. It's going to take some very specific wiring to get this done, but I think I can do it. So stay tuned. We'll see how it goes. Thanks. You're watching On the Mark with Mark. I think I have everything I'm going to need right here. To start with, I have a wiring diagram here. I got this off the internet. Anybody can download this. I'll put a picture of it up on the screen so you can take a close look at it. It even is color coded to the same color of wires that I have right here. Black, red, blue, and yellow. This is 25 feet of wire. This is 16 gauge. And if you look, this outer housing is not bonded to the wires, which makes stripping easier. Also, some of the runs, I don't need all 4 wires. And for the shorter ones, I'm going to pull the wires I don't need out of that housing. I have 2, let me look at this one. 2 of these. This is just a little box that I was able to buy off Amazon. It's got a lid like that. And then I used my mill and I milled out a rectangular hole. And there's the switch. This is a 3-way switch here. So it's going to be a nice trim look up there. I mean, that's what it's going to look like. When my hand goes fumbling, I'll find this box and then I'll be able to flip the switch like that. So I have 2 of those. I have all the screws for them. Here's the lids. And these even come with a little gasket. So they're pretty watertight. Here, one of the gaskets is in place on this one here. And I've got all the crimp-on connectors I need and another connector kit and the tool for putting them on. I have a inline fuse. I'm going to go straight off of the battery with this instead of going to the inside and try to hook into the fuse panel. As long as I come up with my own fuse, it should still be safe. I don't know what size fuse I'll use in this. It shouldn't really take too much. I'll probably start with a 5 amp. This is a 20 amp fuse. So it ought to be based on the wire size that I have. And I think this is also kind of acting like a fuse. I may need a different one of these. We'll see. Boy, that doesn't want to stay together, does it? What am I doing wrong there? Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, maybe that is about the same gauge wire as the rest of this. Yeah, I think we're okay there. But anyway, so that's going to be coming right off of the battery. And then when I jumper between, I'll be running along the frame rail. And when I go between the cab and the box, I want to have a place where I can disconnect in case I ever want to pull the topper off. I don't want to have to cut these wires. And this is a really high quality waterproof type connector, but I think I'm going to try to get it through into the box back here before this connector happens. In case I take it to a body shop, I want them to see it instead of cutting it and finding it later. So I have that. I have a couple feet of shrink tubing to seal up my joints. This wire also came with several pieces of shrink wrap too, so I'll use those when I can, when I need shorter ones. That's about it. Besides, I'm going to use CA glue to temporarily glue it up into the corner of the topper, and then after it's in, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to lay a bead of this black silicone all the way down the sides of this so that it kind of lays in and kind of looks like a piece of trim or something. I also brought out my alcohol, so I think the outside of this is going to need to get wiped down good so that the silicone can stick to it in case there's some kind of mold release or something on that. Also, I understand you have to sand fiberglass a little bit. Somehow it has a little bit of something, I don't know, maybe it's mold release on it. So when I go up into that corner where I'm going to be gluing the wire, then I'll rough it up first and then wipe it down with the alcohol, and then I use my CA glue. So it's a bit of a process there. So the first thing we need to do is we need to have something to aim at. Oh, I don't have my lights here. I left the light bulbs down in the shop. I'll bring those up. I've got 2 LED lights, and they're just the very most basic of lights, but I got them for free, and they put out a lot of light. So I'm going to have one at this end and one up at the head end of the bed. So I need to get these things mounted, and then I can start running wire in between them. I've got both boxes mounted now. There's one. That's my LED light. Let's go down there and look at the other one. Got it right there. This, I used some rubberized undercoating to cover up the end of the wires there. This was like a chain of LEDs. And there's the switch right here. And one thing I noticed, I might be able to reach it from the driver's seat if I need to, or maybe the passenger. So I offset it a little bit so that if I open up those 2 windows, maybe I can turn that on back here. But anyway, I've got the lights and the switches mounted so far. Now I'm looking at this hole. It needs to be able to have my connector pass through it. So I'm going to be drilling that hole out to quite a bit larger diameter. And then I'm going to add another hole because that is a drain hole. And if water should come in, and if you look around here, looks like water has come in, I would like it to be able to get out right away. So I'm not going to plug that hole with wiring and then let water pool in here, because you can see it hasn't rusted out in here. And probably it's not because water hasn't come in. I think it's because water's been able to get out. So that is next. I'm kind of not looking forward to that part. This is why the hole needs to be so big. This needs to be able to pass through it. I think that's the smaller end, so that if I need to take the topper off, I don't want to have to cut the wires. Or if the box comes off again, I did get the cab corner replaced on this truck, and I know they took the box off at that time. And if they did, and I had this wired solid, they would have had to cut the wires, and then who knows how they would have wired it back. So I'm going to put in this. This is a pretty high quality connector. I think I'm going to try to keep it inside the box. So this is going to have to pull through the hole in the floor. I'm going to try to get the wire right in this little crease right here. So I'm just going to sand along that edge here with my sandpaper and then clean that up a little bit, so hopefully I can get some good adhesion. That's gonna do it. There is a thermometer in here. Right there. What's it reading? It says it's 100 degrees in here. I believe it. I've got this side wired now. The wire is CA glued to the ceiling, comes into this box, and I've done all the wiring per the wiring diagram. And then this is a piece of shrink tubing over 2 wires that come out here and go to my light. So I'm not confident enough to put the cover on it, but it should be right. But we'll see once we get power to it. Now I'm working on the other side. This side is a little different. Oh, it's down to 99 degrees now, so whew, thank goodness. I opened this up and I opened the windows up in the cab to try to get a little bit of a breeze. If I put my hand in here, it feels kind of cool. So what I need to do now is, this is the one that travels between the 2 switches, and here's the 4 wires. Now what I need is another wire that's going to come out of the back side of this and go over to here and come down the side, and then it goes into, look at this clever little thing here. I hope you can see this, but this is going to be my joint. Come on. There it is. Okay, this is where it can separate, and as luck would have it, the hole that I drilled only lets one side of it go through. So if I need to take the topper off at some time in the future, here, see this part? That will go all the way through. I don't want to put it through. It'll be this way, because then I'll drop it. But this part's going to stay inside. So there'll be, this also is pretty tough. So it's kind of going to act like a grommet right here in this area. You know, I'll try to zip tie it to the sides and get it so it's not just bouncing around a bunch. But that's going to make it so that I don't need to put a grommet there and worry about plugging up my drain hole there. You see, I tried to drill another drain hole, but it ended up on top of one of these ribs, so it actually wouldn't drain very well. But as long as I don't silicone around this thing or put a grommet on it, I think it'll still drain. And I just need to get from the end of this up here to my switch. Before I get too carried away with putting all this together permanently, I want to attach everything, get it all wired according to my wiring diagram, which I'm referring to all the time. And then I'm going to test it before I go buttoning everything up. So there's just a couple of connections that need to be made right now, and I'm just going to do it with wire nuts for this test. So hopefully everything just works out okay. So here we go. Okay, I have made all the connections temporarily that I believe are correct. Now I'm going to hook up the power to it, and we shall see. Now, one of the things about LED lights is polarity is important. So I think I've got it covered. On this one, red is the positive. So I'm going to hook my red connector up to the black here, because that's going to be positive on the truck. And then the yellow, which is typically white, but it's yellow in this wiring scheme, I'm hooking up right there. Okay. So those are not shorting out, just hanging there. All right. I have it set for 12 volts. I'm flicking it on. Okay, it came up to about 14 volts. All right, I got it set on 12 volts. And no lights came on. That may just be due to the position of the switches, but it's not a good sign. Here we go. Nothing. I'm going to try the other side. Nothing. Nothing. Okay, I'm going to reverse the polarity right here and see if that does anything. Well, that did. So that's good. Somehow I got the polarities backwards, but let's see. Okay, it went off. Now let me try the other switch. It turned on from the other switch. Oh, it won't turn off. Okay, something's not quite right. Okay, if you turn it on over here, you have to turn it off over here. I've seen this before. Yeah, and I can turn it on over here, but I have to turn it off over there. So now I won't be able to turn it off here. Yeah. Okay. And that's a good thing we tested it. So something isn't quite right. I'll bet it's one of those connections on the switches. Of course it is. Okay. Let me turn them off. I don't wish it was dark out. I'd really like to see just how light it is. Well, after much fumbling around and guessing and just trying as many combinations as I could think of, I finally came up with something that seemed to make sense here but wasn't working. And so then I had to go to the other side and make a couple of changes, and I tried probably 3 different scenarios over there. And finally, I got one to work. And I can't really say how I figured it out either, because my wiring diagram shows the way these 3 terminals are on the switch. Well, my switch has 3 terminals just in a row. So you don't really know which one is the one that is transferring the power and doing that. So I took a guess at it and I was wrong. But anyway, luckily they're just these slide-on connectors, which seem like they would be an easy thing to deal with. But if it wasn't for my little mini needle nose pliers, I don't think I would have been able to get in there to move them. But now I am ready. Oh, yeah, now I can put in the permanent connections here. So I'm going to do that next. I've squeezed these so tight that I actually split this right here. So I get the nice steel on rubber. Oh, here, I'll spin it around. I'll get a little more life out of this. Okay, nothing left to do here but button up the box. And here is the box. It's a very clever box. It has this nice little gasket on there. Egad, how am I going to get that to go in there? You are going to go right there. Good. And you are going to go right there. That looks good. And you, look at that. Everything's going to fit in there pretty flat. Now, if only my screwdriver wasn't way over there. Hey, you were supposed to stay in there. Huh. Still working. Let's get the other side. course, my knife is way over there. Okay, got the gasket on. Let's see if it's still working on this side. Looks like it. This one doesn't have nearly as many wires in it, so that's kind of nice. What a nifty little box with a switch on it. Right there. Boy, I've wanted that for a long time. Hasn't been easy, and I'm not done yet. All right, let's get this thing off of battery eliminator power and get it hooked up to the battery of the pickup. From here down, I just want to have it zip tied into the corner, and then if the box ever needs to come off, we can just cut the zip ties. So my plan is to try to use these self-tapping screws here like that. Automotive metal is a little different animal than other metals, so this may not go well. I may have to come back with a drill bit, but let's see how it goes to begin with. There. That is nice and neat. Okay, now we're under the truck. Hooked into the battery right here, and I connected onto ground right there, and then I went into this little bit of a shroud, which then goes along the inner fender well and follows along the inside, and then I picked up a couple of other wires. I came down the inside of this frame rail here, just zip tying things, and then I ran out of that tube, continuing to zip tie. And then right here I split off from those other two wires, and then I went into some ink shrink tubing. And I made the long sweeping loop up into the box. And right there is where my connector is. Now I just need to put my radiator overflow reservoir back on, and there's part of the air box here too that needs to go back on, and that'll cover up these wires here. I really couldn't get to it very easily with those in place. All back together now. We're good here. Can hardly see my new wire there as it works its way down through the frame. And it comes up through the floor here. It's just zip tied to the wall here to keep it nice and tidy. And if the topper had to come off, I would disconnect it down here and then cut those zip ties and then reattach them later when the topper came back on. And it comes up the wall and heads to the switches. I don't know how much you can see out here right now, but it is dark. And let's take a look at my lights here. So we're going to open up the back. This is what I've been looking for now. I reach up here, a little fumbling around. It's going to take me a while to get used to the location. And boom. Look at that. Very nice. All lit up. Let's see what it looks like from the sides. Got plenty of light in there. It's a little surprising because it's, oh my gosh, it's coming from 6 total LEDs, 3 in the front and 3 here in the back. And they are lighting things up just fine, even out here a little bit. Let's lower the tailgate. Actually, I hadn't even considered this. I got it far enough in that the light comes out and shines on the tailgate. So if I were working on something right here, I would still get some light from this. So here's the main thing. I wanted to be able to turn on the light from right here, like that, and then climb in. Get ready for bed. Get laid down like this. Get myself all situated. And then when I'm ready to go to sleep, I can turn it off from up here. I don't have to reach clear down there to 2 feet below my feet. And if in the middle of the night something goes bump, I can turn that on. Boy, that is great light. That is really, really neat. I'm going to close it up here. So from my previous video, now I can reach my tailgate. Oh, that is so easy. I can pull it up super easy that way. This is a bit of a reach. Close that up. Lock it down. I do not have really a way of locking that, but I'm all closed in here now. And I'm ready to bed down here. How sweet is this? I don't know if you can even see me. Well, one thing I know, I don't want to stare at these lights. They're pretty bright. It would be neat if I had some kind of a little diffuser over it. Oh my gosh, I got a bunch of gnats in here. Anyway, that's the idea. Oh my gosh. Let's see. I started on this on Sunday. I spent an easy 8 hours then. And then on Monday, I spent another, easily 2 hours. So that's 10 hours. And then Tuesday, I had to mow. So I only got about 1 hour on it. So that's 11. And then tonight, 2 more hours to finish it. So it took me 13 hours to do this. I think it was a little longer than that. Last time I totaled it up, it was like 16 hours. So after I CA glued the wire to the ceiling, I came back with silicone. It's not caulk, but it's like caulk, and I put a bead on either side of the wire. And I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll lay a nice smooth, even bead all the way along both sides of the wire, even though I have never been able to do that in my life. And once again, I still was not able to do that. So it looks kind of, it is a paintable caulk. I thought about maybe hitting it with some paint, but it's kind of a speckled finish on this. So I think maybe it's easier just to leave well enough alone. Um, I'll get used to the look of that. You can't see it from the outside, but anytime I want now, I can, if I'm loading something up in the middle of the night, I can turn the light on and off from back there. And if I'm sleeping in here, which I really only do a couple of times a year, so this was a lot of work for that much usage, but that's just the way I thought it should be. So I have a wiring diagram. I showed the wire that I used, and some of the routing of the wire. This is something you can do. I kind of understand now why people don't do it this way. A lot of guys will just hook up to the parking light and just grab the power that way. But then you got to go up front and you got to turn your parking lights on in order to have power to your lights. And that's okay for loading stuff, but not for camping like what I intend to do, because the ignition is completely off. I'm coming right off of the battery with a fuse. So I'm still safe that way. But I'm not independent of the truck. I'm independent of the ignition, which is just fine. And I don't think these really draw a lot of power to kill my battery, but I also don't intend on sitting in here with the light on for hours at a time while I'm camping. It's basically I'm done around the campfire when I get in here, get situated, and turn the light out. Also, if something, I don't know, if I lose my pillow or something in the middle of the night, I might want to turn the light on and boom, can do it right there. So I hope you like this video. Please share this video with anybody you know that likes to camp in their topper like this. I think it's getting to be a pretty popular thing to do, to have a small topper camper like this. This is a full-size 8-foot bed here. This cot happens to straddle the wheel well, so it slides over nice and neat. I did make it out camping the following weekend. I went to Yellow River Forest, and the guy camping next to me, his name was Lester, he invited me down to these YouTubers who were having a camp out there. This was Jason and Brittany's campsite, and yeah, they have a YouTube channel too. It's Live Today Wonderland. They're really nice people. They were very welcoming there. So subscribe to their channel, see what they're up to. But I still do use this pickup as a regular hauling vehicle from time to time. Not a lot, but some. And so I want to be able to just have everything out without having, some great big custom built plywood units that could go in and out, because where are you going to put that? That's kind of my issue. A lot of people have space for it. I don't. Even my little camp kitchen, I've been just leaving it in here because I haven't had to haul anything lately. And it's not in the way in here, and it rides just fine. All right. Well, I'm starting to just ramble. So thanks for watching my video and sticking with me to the end. This um, project challenged me. I had to switch the wires around several times to get it to do the three-way switch thing, but I did finally get it. So very cool. Thanks again for watching. Good, good, good. All buttoned up.